Chapter 27, Sorry, Kane. Raiden had his magic sword wrapped in an intense aura, attacking aggressively while the masked mage dodged effortlessly, like he was just playing around. You're gonna have to do better than that if you want to land a hit. Raiden! Now! Elena's voice cut through the battlefield. She was already channeling her scarlet magic, and Raiden, even in mid-movement, jumped back. He twisted in the air and landed with his knees bent, retreating fast. A second later, Elena's flames whooshed past where he had just been. The masked mage dodged the scarlet blaze with graceful movements, letting the fire twist behind him as he leapt back. Are you guys really trying to roast me? He laughed, even as he spun through the air to dodge the flames. I hate hot weather. While still in midair, the mage fired a barrage of needles made of dark mana. The black blades sliced through the air with a sharp screech, aimed straight at Lyra's position. They stabbed into the ground. Shit, Lyra pulled back just in time, whipping up a gust of wind around her feet, blasting the ground into fragments where the needles had landed. BZZZK crash. A small explosion of dark mana sent shards of stone and thick dust flying, wrapping everything in a choking curtain. What the hell was that? Lyra quickly dispersed the dust cloud with a spinning wave of wind, but her eyes widened when she saw more projectiles coming straight from the smoke. More needles, hidden in the haze. Chak. Before she could react, Raiden jumped in front of her, his sword glowing with mana as he slashed them all mid-air. Thrash. The fragments hit the ground harmlessly. TSK. This guy's impossible to predict. Sweat was running down Raiden's forehead. From the moment the fight had started, the masked mage hadn't given them a single break. Even if he was at least a Class 5 mage, still, against 3 students? How could one person do so many things at once? It's like trying to hit a mosquito in the middle of a hurricane. Elena watched everything closely. He's just buying time, she turned to Professor Maylis, who stayed a bit back, guiding the students to help the wounded. She had told Elena they called for help the moment the attack started. We just need to hold on a little longer. If they did, the Academy Knights would make it in time. Elena took a deep breath, trying to stay focused even with her body tense and mana circulating at high speed. The battle was intense, but every second of resistance mattered. Luckily, this time Raiden was with her and Lyra. He moved without hesitation, going for an opening in the masked mage's guard. HNGGH. Easy there, the masked mage let out a short, mocking sound as he noticed the attack coming his way. With a quick spin in the air, he barely dodged Raiden's strike. Good thing you can't fly, kid. Raiden channeled his mana hard into the blade, which lit up in a deep blue tone. With a sharp motion, he fired a slash of cutting energy toward the masked mage, like he wanted to end it right there. Clang! But instead of being caught, the dark mage just dodged again with ease and landed atop one of the broken pillars in the arena. He let out a mocking whistle, looking at where Raiden's attack hit. That was close, huh? Raiden, who was done with the mage's games, narrowed his eyes. Why are you doing this? What do you want with Vehart Academy? The mage gave a wide grin under the mask. His voice was casual, like they were just chatting. What do you mean why? Does a dark mage need a reason to have a little fun? You're completely insane. You know that when Vehart's mages show up, you're dead, right? That's true. But that's only gonna happen if I'm still here. From above, the masked mage scanned the area. Fights were already breaking out between Class S students and some low-level dark mages. I've burned too much mana, need to stop playing around and end this now. He clenched his teeth. Cracking the Academy's magical barrier had drained more mana than expected. If he wasn't a dark mage, he'd already be out. Turning his head slowly, his eyes searched the horizon. He's waiting for a signal. Elena clenched her fist, watching the mage standing above the entrance to the alchemy greenhouse, her mind spinning. Celaya, he's waiting for confirmation that Yen's been captured. Elena was trusting that Kane would handle things on his side. But if any signal showed up, we just need to hold out a little longer. Elena took position, her eyes burning with determination. Scarlet flames started swirling around her arms. Raiden and Lyra moved between her and the dark mage, ready to cover her casting. The masked mage, still looking toward the horizon, noticed a shift. His eyes dropped, sensing a spike in mana coming from Elena. "You really think I'm gonna let that happen?" He stretched both hands forward, focusing dark energy between his fingers. A dense orb wrapped in shadowy lightning began to form. The pressure in the air spiked, warping the space around it. "I'm losing too much mana with this flight spell, but that sword kid's a pain in the ass." He dodged another slash of mana from Raiden's sword. "Annoying, if I had all my mana, let's just wrap this up, kids." The orb of dark energy pulsed violently, lightning cracking around it. "Sorry, but you're gonna die along with." Suddenly, a massive magical presence surged behind him. Vrooish! Before he could react, a spear of pure, dense water ripped through the air, rising from below. "What?" He let go of the orb with one hand and raised the other reflexively. Boom! The impact of the water hit his barrier like muffled thunder. The protection cracked, and he was thrown sideways, stumbling midair. When he recovered and looked down, he saw a girl with long blue hair. TCH. What is this, a noble kids reunion now? Maybe you should focus. Shit, the mage tried to get away, but Raiden was already on him, making his movements clumsy. How did he get there so fast? Or wait, the Velmar family doesn't even train mages for flight, so how? Raiden spun his sword, his aura merging with the surrounding mana flow. The Celestine swordsmanship of his family manifested with deadly elegance. THZZZZT. At the moment of impact, the blade tore through the enchanted barrier the mage was trying to cast. The magic shattered like glass, black sparks scattering through the air. "Raiden, fall back." Lyra opened her arms, pulling him away with a gust of wind seconds before Elena's spell was complete. Scarlet flames swirled like a flower around Elena. The petals of spiritual fire expanded, creating an image that could almost be mistaken for beauty. "Now, Elena." "I know already." She launched the spell. The blazing scarlet flower shot toward the mage like a reddish-pink comet, leaving a trail of embers that could almost be mistaken for petals floating in the air. Shit, these kids. He spun his hands and formed a dome of dark energy around his body, trying to block the impact. KRRRRRRHHHMM. The scarlet flames exploded against the dome. The ground beneath cracked, and crimson light lit up the whole area for a few seconds. Smoke rose. And as the smoke began to fade, the masked mage appeared among the ashes. His cloak was torn, and the broken mask revealed part of his face. A large burn covered the left side, marked in dark red. He was breathing heavily, body shaking, but still standing. He touched the part of the mask that had shattered, then turned his gaze to Elena. "Ugh. Thought I said I hated the heat." Right after the mocking words, a thick wave of dark energy started rising from the ground, spreading like living smoke around the dark mage's body. His body trembled, not from pain, but from bottled-up rage. The fragments of the mask clinked as they fell, revealing more of the burn on his face. "I went easy on you, holding back the whole time, and you tried to kill me." Dark mana surged around him, pulsing in almost visible waves, distorting the air and making the ground vibrate. Raiden raised his sword. Lyra started gathering wind around her body. And Elena stepped forward, drawing on her last reserves of mana. But then, the unexpected happened. The mage just stopped. His eyes scanned each of them, and then he smiled. The energy faded little by little, like it was being pulled back into his body. With a small push, he started to float. "Well, let's leave this for another time. I have something I need to check on first." Elena stepped forward, pointing firmly. "Hey, where do you think you're going?" She launched a fireball straight at him. But the dark mage simply moved one arm, forming a blade of dark mana that cut the spell midair. "What's the problem, girl from House Elrian? Didn't you want your teacher alive? I'm doing you all a favor. Don't come with that. I already know you're just here buying time." The dark mage's eyes narrowed, and a wide grin spread across his lips. "Wow, you figured that out? Did you also notice I'm heading toward my real objective?" Just give up already, you've realized something's wrong with your plan. The mage's smile faded. His expression shifted. Lyra stepped a bit closer and quickly whispered to Elena, "Hey, don't provoke this psycho." The mage frowned. His body tensed for a moment. His gaze slowly lifted, sensing something in the distance. The mana around them seemed to vibrate. The magic knights were getting closer. TSK. You kids are really lucky. Looking around, Melis was no longer on the field. She had pulled back with the others. The Class 3 dark mages were exhausted. He knew staying there was a waste of time. His focus was somewhere else. I need to find out what happened to the girl from the magic tower. We'll meet again in the future, if you're still alive by then. The dark mage slowly turned in the air and shot off at high speed, leaving behind a rippling trail of dark smoke that faded like a living mist. Elena, still with her arm extended, tried to gather energy to cast another spell. But as soon as the heat began forming in her palm, a sharp pain shot through her shoulder. NGHH. She bent forward slightly, lowering her arms. Her body had reached its limit. Iris, who had gotten closer, placed a hand on her back. "Hey, don't push it any further. That's enough. He's gone." Elena narrowed her eyes, still gasping for air. "Kane, looks like I fucked up." Chapter 28, 2 verses 1. Seriously? Footsteps echoed along the ruined trail, the muffled sound of crushed leaves and snapped branches filling the uncomfortable silence between them. Yen ran ahead, her expression hard. Marco followed right behind, his face sweaty and worried. "He said he'd be right behind us." "Let's keep going. Are you sure about that?" "I don't know. Do you think something happened to him?" "I said I don't know." She bit the corner of her lip in frustration, the metallic taste of blood dragging her back to what had just happened. "That bastard really called us deadweight." "I think he just said that in the heat of the moment, Yen." TSK, everything had happened way too fast. Kane, without any warning, had unleashed a spell she'd never seen before. It was intense, powerful, and terrifying, definitely not the kind of magic a Class 2 or 3 mage should be using. He always had different powers, she knew that. But this went beyond anything she imagined. He had compressed an absurd amount of mana into a tiny point. Yen couldn't see it, but she could feel it. A small core, dense. "Who are you, Kane?" She remembered the aura around him when he saved Marco. That energy wasn't from a normal student. Not even close. And that's what confused her. Before they split up, he didn't have that much mana flowing through his body. Doubt and guilt gnawed at her. At first, she thought Kane was using her as a distraction to escape. It made sense. Anyone would have done that. They were after her, not him. But when she realized he was buying time, when she saw that he never planned to run, he was pretending from the beginning, TSK. Damn it, she wanted to go back. But what could she and Marco do? Even if she didn't want to admit it, Kane wasn't wrong when he called them deadweight. Kane had been blunt. "You're just going to get in the way. They're after you, Yen. If you stay, more of them will show up, and then we're all actually gonna die." For her, knowing there was nothing she could do, burned more than any flame. Thumb. The impact rippled through the air with a distorted, muffled shimmer, like reality had glitched for a second. Kane twisted his body over the cracked ground, repelling Selaya's attack with his contact deflection technique. The solid shadow of the black katana bounced off the air. It was strange to Selaya. Even though it had only hit the air, it felt like it struck stone. Then, Kane's fists lit up with concentrated mana vectors. He charged forward. "Yah!" he shouted, punching straight at Selaya. BZZZZZK. But unlike what he expected, his punch crashed into a solid barrier. The shield trembled but held. Fuck, that damn support mage. Kane took a deep breath. Vectorial energy gathered in his feet, and with a sudden burst, the ground beneath him cracked. Boom! He shot forward like a living arrow straight at the little support mage. If I take that dwarf down, he clenched his fist, forcing his muscles like he was shaping a concrete spear with his own arm. Shit! Celia. The moment she saw Kane charging at Dravan, Celia reacted like a wild instinct, her body shooting across the space between them in a trail of dense, living shadows. Dravan conjured a barrier instantly, trying to defend himself. But Kane twisted in midair, and with a cocky grin, pointed his finger at Celia. Good luck dodging this. Zawooum. A blast of pure vector mana exploded from his finger in a straight line. Celia's eyes widened. At the last second, she shaped a curved wall of dense black shadows in front of her. Crack! The beam of energy slammed into the defense, throwing off black sparks and smoke. Celia was pushed back, her feet sliding across the ground. Both Dravan and Celia stepped away, gaining distance. It's really impossible to fight both of them at once. Dravan didn't give Kane a second to breathe. His voice dropped into a rhythmic whisper, and soon a dark energy began spreading slowly beneath his feet. A black circle started to form, radiating dense mana that crept along the ground like a living mist, curling around shattered rocks and exposed roots, swallowing everything nearby in a dim glow. Kane frowned. So that's how the blind zone works? That ability was a debuff he remembered from Chronos Realms. It reduced buffs, messed with mana circulation, stopped spellcasting, and affected energy control. Will this affect me too? Even though his abilities weren't spells, he still needed the internal mana flow running through his body. Kane lightly clenched his fists. A slight tension rippled through his muscles. Yeah, it's affecting me. If he had used that earlier, maybe I wouldn't have even been able to launch my rejection core back then. Dravan narrowed his eyes. Don't get cocky. You're not exactly in top shape. You won't last 5 minutes now. Kane didn't answer. He looked down at his own body. Cuts were scattered across his arms and chest. All of them were shallow, but even so, one by one, they were wearing him down. She wasn't kidding when she said I'd come back without my limbs. He sighed, remembering Marco and Yen. I told them to run, but Marco didn't even hesitate. Bastard. He was already starting to regret telling Yen and Marco to go back. But there was nothing he could do. This was something he had repeated over and over while playing Chronos Realms. He knew that if he interfered in Yen's capture, the masked mage would show up, and then things would get really bad. It was impossible to fight and stop her from being captured if all 4 of them were together there. Kane clenched his fist, frustrated, remembering Marco. He'd told both of them to run, but it was in the heat of the moment. Since they were after Yen, it made sense that Marco would hesitate to leave her behind, he was way too nice. But the moment Kane suggested they go, Marco didn't even blink. That traitor! A snap cut through his thoughts. Shock! Black chains began forming around Celia. They slithered through the air, buzzing with a thick aura of dark mana. I don't know what you thought you'd gain by helping that girl, but you're definitely gonna die for it. Kane looked forward, sighing in frustration at the sight of the chains taking shape. These two really have the most annoying abilities. Celia molded shadows like extensions of her own body, turning them into solid weapons. Dravan, on the other hand, summoned defensive barriers on allies he had previously marked. A fully synchronized offense-defense duo. Luckily, the brute had disappeared into the forest after taking a rejection core straight to the body at close range. But even so, a 2v1 fight against class 3+ mages and with the masked guy getting closer at any moment? Kane took a deep breath. Alright, guess we're doing it this way, his inertia core activated. He converted mana into force vectors, which meant he could add artificial impulse to any movement, including his punches. He tightened his fists. His mana flowed through the internal channels, rushing into his arms until it reached his knuckles. But instead of glowing or radiating heat, the mana folded in on itself. It was like using sword aura around his fists, loading every cell with stored impact. Bring it on! The hell did you just say? Celia, hearing that, felt her pride as a dark mage crumble. How dare some brat tell her what to do? She charged forward. You're really gonna die this time. the chains sliced through the air with sharp, dry hums. Zack! Draven, just behind Celaya, activated the barriers in sync, ready to block Kane's blows. Boomf! KRRAM, Kane's punches landed heavy, each one leaving subtle cracks in Draven's defenses. This kid's insane, any regular mage would have been launched by the first hit, but Celaya was protected by Draven's barriers, which barely held together. Celaya wasn't attacking with full force, she was watching. Every one of Kane's strikes made her instincts scream. Despite looking like just a teenager, those punches were deadly. I still can't tell if he's just some random kid or that girl's bodyguard. Celaya, we need to move now. I know, she waited for Draven to block one of Kane's strikes so she could counter. Even if she didn't fully understand how Kane's abilities worked, it was clear he never attacked and defended at the same time. Every time Kane used one of his repulsions, there was at least a 1-second delay before he could do it again. And once activated, the effect only lasted 2 to 3 seconds at most, creating brief openings between uses, openings that, for experienced mages like Celaya, were all they needed. Now, the opening Celaya had been waiting for appeared. Chains flew at him from the front, while Draven blocked his escape path. Kane reacted fast, dodging 2 chains and repelling the others like they'd hit an invisible wall. Clang! But then, crack! 2 new chains burst from underground, cracking the ground and throwing Kane off balance. TCHK. Damn it, not again. On reflex, he jumped back. BOOF. His body crashed into a semi-transparent energy wall. Shit, he used her position to raise a barrier behind me? Before he could react, Celaya was already on him. Her deep violet eyes locked onto Kane. I told you you'd die. Her right hand closed around a sword made of shadows that formed as she lunged. In that short moment, everything seemed to slow down for Kane. His body against the barrier, his eyes locked with hers, the blade coming straight at him. Shit! Thack! The sound of impact echoed. The sword started to pierce his skin, absolute rejection.